welcome to another episode of Real Conversations. We're so happy to have you guys in this conversation this day. This is the 7th episode of Real Conversation. And yeah, it's a special edition. We have a special guest in our midst today. Before I introduce our guest, we want to thank each and every one of you that have subscribed to our channel. We see your comments, we see your opinions, and we love how you get so vulnerable with your experiences. You share your experiences and everything you go through, and we see it and we love it so much. And I want to say we appreciate you guys for taking time to comment, subscribe, like, and share all our videos across all other platforms. We want to say thank you so much, and we really appreciate. We're grateful.
Absolutely.
We urge you to share it across to your members, your families, your friends, so you also join the family of Real Conversations as well. Now, to the main subject of the day, which is our guest. We have a special guest with us today. He's someone who I describe as a very intentional individual as regards his works, his vocation, and everything he does, how detailed he is, how professional. Even though he's a priest, or you can't tell that you could just say, oh, this is a professional doctor. He could be like that sometimes. Another minute you say this is a professional engineer, it could be like that sometimes. So that tells you how professional this individual is. He's a special guest here, and we have him here with us today. We are talking to none other than Reverend Father Ujah Gabriel Ejembi SJ, my pastor, my parish priest, and the parish priest of St. Joseph Catholic Church. Father, we are so happy to have you with us today.
Oh, no, so thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you, Father, for the honor.
Thank you.
Thank you.
When we were trying to get Father on to this show, where I think Father is so busy. Today, Father is giving retreat. Tomorrow, Father is here. And we're like, how can we get that time? And Father said, okay, I will just create this little time for you guys. Come around, and So, Father, we are really, really grateful.
Absolutely.
So
I'm very delighted to be part of your Real Conversations. I've been watching some of your videos. Thank you for bringing real conversations to our doorstep, to our families, to our homes, to our communities. Did I hear you say the 7th edition?
This is the 7th.
Oh, so it's a special edition because the number 7 is also a special, and a very symbolic number.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for having
And
me.
here you have a favorite host. My name is Nosedan, as you all know. And my brother here with me is
Jeffrey. Okay, good stuff. Thanks, Nosedan, for that introduction. And thank you, Father Ujah, for the honor and this privilege. Like he said, we thought about who the person would have for the first episode where we would have a guest. And we're just brainstorming, who do we pick? And he mentioned your name, and then it just made sense. So thank you, Father, for the honor. We don't take your time and consideration for granted.
Thank you so much, Jeff. The honor is actually mine, bringing me first. So in the history of this Real Conversation, I know my name will be written.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Father. Remember, I think that was in the first or second episode, we talked about how important it is to have this type of podcast where you're reaching out to people, inspiring people, and that's essentially the goal of Real Conversation. We want to inspire people, we want to push people to making the right choices, to actually make significant progress in their lives. That's the reason why this podcast was created. And in the month of April and May, we're going to be having different guests show up because we want to push people to make progress and we want people to be massively inspired. For today, we're going to talk about something very, very deep and powerful, and we hope and we pray that it inspires you. Our topic for today, and that's what we have Father Ujah to just dissect the entire thing. Our topic for today is on how to stay relevant in a saturated field. It's very, very difficult, and I think sometimes complicated for some people, because you hear them say, oh, this particular industry is heavily saturated, so even if I break through or if I find a way to get there, it will be difficult for me to have a recognizable face and voice in that industry. Well, here we have someone who has been in a particular niche industry, and we're going to hear from him how he has stayed relevant and recognizable for over a decade. So it's really an honor and a privilege for us to have you. And We hope everyone watching would be really inspired, and we'll see how it goes. We're very excited about this episode. Absolutely excited. Close down before.
Yeah, you're so right, my brother. Father Ujah is my pastor. He's someone who I've watched closely and also from afar. He's very intentional. And I want to just start off this way, Father. I've known you for a while, and like my brother said, niche, but I think I want to flip the script a bit. With my knowledge of Father Ujah has worked as a retreat director. He has been, at some point, he has been an educator. At some point, he has been an administrator, a parish. So he has been able to work in various spheres of, his vocation as well. So for Father, I want to know how have you been able to, sustain that relevance in all of these fields? Even, yes, you are a priest, that's the name, but you've been able to work as an administrator, as a parish priest, as an educator, as a retreat, so many spheres in your vocation. So how have you been able to manage that? Because it's difficult, like my brother said, for people to be able to just venture into various, right? Yeah. So Father, how have you been able to do it over a decade?
All right, thank you so much. Thank you, Nosdan and Jeff. And thank you to our dependable viewers. Relevancy and professionalism, relevancy and vocation, relevancy and maybe works of life. You don't make relevance your goal. You don't make relevance your goal. What you make a goal for yourself is understanding the demands of your profession, so that you don't water down professionalism for anything. For example, you are a teacher. If you want to be somebody that gets an award at the end of the year because you are teaching very well, you may not do well. So your focus is not about really being relevant, but your focus should be about individual persons. The journey you make with individual persons as a teacher. Because you are not going to only educate the person, but you'll be serving as a mentor to that person. I'm a Catholic priest, and I've been ordained for about 10 years now, from 2015. This year will be my 11th year on the 18th of July. My vocation, first, is not a profession. In the sense, I'm not a priest because of particular amount to be paid at the end of the month or at the end of the year. I'm basically a priest to serve. So I pick up service as the heart of my vocation and begin to explore various ways of serving. First, the composition of where you will work is very important. The composition here means, are there adults? Are there children? Are there youth? Are there professionals? Are there persons who are struggling? The learned? Are there people who are unlettered in terms of academic performances and all that? So if you know what the composition of your setting is, then you begin to say, it is not all about one shirt fits all. You have a unique composition. When that composition is carefully studied, then you can serve by accompanying and by journeying with various individuals. So as pastor in the church, sometimes I want to do something for just the children alone. So you can have one material, but tailored into different needs.
That's good.
Into different needs. And for them, you become very relevant because they have particular way of looking at the same goal but from their own perspective. You also have persons who are vulnerable. For example, you have people who are abused and are not able to talk about their experiences publicly. So what do? You create a setting of trust so that when they come to you, you can point out mentors that the community trusts. So it's like tailoring a single need to different varieties of persons. Once again, the goal is not about the kind of results that are always quantifiable. You don't want to measure your results by the number of persons, but you want to measure it by the number of values communicated, trust ignited in a single person, or hope reborn in the woman that actually felt hopeless before. It doesn't mean that certain quantifiable goals are unimportant. But first, you go into the quantifiable goals through doors that are not measurable statistically. Now, within my context, I use the Bible a lot, the Holy Scriptures. You have a woman who approaches you and says, look, you speak a lot about this Bible. I want to also read it, but I can not read because I'm not literate. So how do you make the Bible available for this person? Translating into different languages will not be helpful. And the person meets you and says, look, Father, I would like to pray with this Bible from time to time. Then you pair the person with somebody who can read, and the person reads it, and the woman meditates on what she's hearing. So each time the woman wants to pray, you have somebody assigned to read specific passages. And then you begin to create a community where everybody hears the word, wherever they are comfortable, in the morning, in the afternoon, and in the evening.
That's incredibly powerful. Incredibly powerful. I have a follow-up question, Father. And I think it's an interesting question because you spoke about how important it is to wear a particular code, but have a way to ensure that you can structure it differently to fit the people you're called to serve. But I know this process can sometimes be very, very complicated because we live in a very interesting world and people are quite interesting. You can't really say we're going to focus on just this type of people. Sometimes even when you're trying to actually help people, you would have that pushback because perhaps they didn't learn how to accept help. So sometimes even when you're actually trying to serve people, the people you're trying to serve can sometimes refuse your acts of service. So it can be very, very complicated. So my question, Father, is how do you find a way to, I guess, break down the walls of people, break down their quote and unquote strongholds in order to effectively serve them well? Because it's very, very complicated because you're dealing with people and people are complicated beings. So, you've been doing this, so you said almost 11 years now. How have you successfully been able to reach out to different people in a very unique way, perhaps the way that they needed that type of service the most? Father.
All right, thank you so much, Jeff. I think this is a very important question and a very relevant question to this conversation. I will say I have been personally, strategically organic.
That's good.
So there is no stagnancy.
I like that.
You are being strategic, but you are organic. So there is a life in the strategies that you are bringing into into your ministry in my own context. I think the first strategy that I have used effectively is friendship. Is friendship. When you become of my own journey in administration, I'm going to begin with this. If it doesn't work, this is another plan. If it doesn't work, this is another plan. But even while all this is going on, I retain that hunger for some kind of colloquy with my mentors, discussing with them consistently about what is happening, the dreams I have, and the directions that these dreams might possibly lead God's people.
Yes, Father. So, just to follow up on Jeff, what you instituted. We've established the principle of friendship and how strategic one can be. But of shared knowledge, Father, I know that you are widely traveled. You've studied at some point in Rome, you've worked in, let's just say, in several countries around the world. You've studied also in the UK. So to follow up on your strategy and principle of friendship, will you say that when you are posted to other African countries, other European countries for work, will you see those principles? Because I understand that it's difficult to interact with people of different races. As Nigerians who are from here, we come from here, we can understand ourselves, our makeup, how we relate as nationalities. But when you are being posted to like Kenya, Cote d'Ivoire, the UK, the European countries, Brazil, for example, those kind of countries where you have to take time off to really understand the terrain, understand how they see life. Is it that same approach you use when you are posted to those places?
All right, thank you so much, Nosdan. Essentially, the human person everywhere is the same. It's just that you have conditions or contexts that permit some persons to think in a certain way. But values, human values, are generally respected and essential everywhere. One value that helps a lot to become relevant is consistency. It's different from the chameleon-like value. A chameleon adapts, which is good, but when we talk of consistency, you are predictable in certain values of life. When you go anywhere and they realize that you are consistent, even when there are changing times and there are tests, your values remain consistent. It's not that today when people are gathered here, you say to eat yam is good. And people are gathered in another place, you say to eat yam is not good. And all of them are human beings. So you are not lying, you are not looking for favors, but you hold on to what you believe in, whether it is acceptable or not. Because if you begin to leave yourself to become others, you might not serve them very well. So you are consistent, you are true to yourself. And when you are true to yourself, you begin to communicate the values that you uphold. If you promote life in Nigeria, you should also promote life elsewhere.
So, Father, so how then can we practice the principle of, should I call it enculturation, for example? How then can we find that thin line where, for example, you are posted, you are working, let's say, in the Middle East. Yes, the core values are there, but to find that balance where you are at the moment doesn't really.
That's exactly the question in my mind. Exactly.
What your core.
Your core.
So how can you just find that thin line where there be a balance on both sides?
On both sides. Enculturation is a very important principle, a very important thing to be aware of. Cultures are different,
Absolutely.
But human values are the same. Cultures are different. There will be different ways of expressing their human values. I think the first thing you do is to be very careful in condemning what you don't understand.
That's good.
When you jump into a culture, you don't just condemn them, that these people are arrogant, these people are animal, these people are terrorists, these people are irreligious people, or these people are illiterate. The first thing is to be very slow in making judgments. But in asking, what is the meaning of this, is very helpful. Because it will not be good you begin to act like them without understanding why they do what they do. First, you must understand why they act in this way. And then when you understand it and you know that it is very important for them, the next thing you do is begin to see how it is also part of you. I mean, you go to a culture where everybody speaks French. I begin to learn some songs in French. When you have to lead and you begin to sing in French, they immediately say, this is one of us. This is one of us. It is a way of entering through their own door, but finding windows of your own values too, to bring into dialogue with that. So you always face cultural shocks, but don't condemn, because you are coming from a different culture. First, take some time to understand, some time to learn. And one of the ways of remaining relevant is actually self-development. You have to continue to develop yourself and enrich yourself. You don't have all the truth. Your culture does not have all the truth. The learning you've gone through does not give you all the truth. You must be open consistently to learn from others and to develop yourself.
Thank you so much for that. That's so powerful. I want to encourage you guys to, watch and actually, you could actually practice some of these things that Father is actually sharing with us. We also want to reach out to those who may be watching this and you are happy with this program. You want to sponsor, you want to run your ads through our platform, you can always reach out to the numbers on the screen. You want to sponsor, you want to reach out to us for sponsorships. You like what these guys are doing, oh, Jeff and those down, keep it up. You want to sponsor, the numbers on your screen, you can always reach out to them. And if you want to also do partnership with your businesses or whatever you do, you can also reach out to the numbers on your screen, and we'll have that partnership together. So Father, wonderful. This is a very powerful session.
Absolutely.
Now let's get back to relevancy. There's a side of relevancy I want you to open up, Father. You have already established the fact that it's not about the result per se, but it's about the value.
Absolutely.
And I think we talked about value in our third episode.
Yeah,
and we spoke a lot about
extensively.
Value. And I'm so happy that Father is just repeating the same words since value. And Father, I just want you to get your thoughts on relevance in a robust way and value. Relevance and value. How can we have both? How can we deliver both? How can we have the concept of relevancy, but also, like you said, give that value? We have that concept and also now give that a
Value.
Yes.
All right, thank you so much, Nosdan. Maybe this would be a very strong word to use, or maybe contradictory in itself, but it would be beautiful to say it's good to be aggressively creative. If you want to be relevant and continue to give value, you have to be aggressively creative. What does this mean? Creativity is the ability to be able to read the signs of time, to be able to read the changing of season, of times, and there are new trends coming up. It doesn't mean that the old is bad when we say be creative. It's not all about new things, but it's actually about discovering better and effective ways of communicating what you feel has value. Creativity is one of the values that spice human life. When you are creative, people are not tired. When you are creative, people are not bored. When you are creative, you actually embrace what others can also contribute. To be aggressively creative is also to be able to create the platform that you yourself will learn from the gifts of others. So it's not all about you giving, but it's also about you creating an environment where you will receive even without asking. So you are aggressively creative. You are reading the signs of time. There have been a traditional way of doing A, B, C, D. And you keep the tradition, but you bring A plus before you move to B. And you bring B plus before you move to C. There's something you are adding that is rooted in the foundation that has been created, but it's completely new because of how that is communicated. That is the power of creativity.
That's good.
That's power of creativity. You know, we could pick example of narrative text in the Bible. If you are reading from Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, all these are stories. You can decide that you will always dramatize them because they are stories. It will take a longer time, but as you are dramatizing the words of Jesus, you are bringing aspects of realities in our culture. And you're allowing the drama to speak to that reality without using directly the words of Jesus. So it gives you opportunity to begin from what has been given and to explore issues that are within the community, within the society.
That's incredibly powerful, Father. I have a follow-up question. Knows that now we've discussed this extensively. This might sound very controversial, but I've often voiced my displeasure at traditional institutions. I'm not saying they're not helpful, but I'm saying what I actually believe is the way they are styled and designed is essentially to raise like robots or factory workers. You know, people, yes, men and women, people who unfortunately they don't embody creativity, and it's quite sad because we live in a very interesting era now where creativity is gold. Like creativity is essential. But many traditional institutions still have this setup that unfortunately, intentionally or unintentionally, stifles people's creativity. I've had lots of conversations with lots of young people who would go into a particular traditional education system and come out. I don't use the word worse off, Father, because they come out. Perhaps they were exposed when they got in, but when they get out, they become so confined in their thinking. It becomes very difficult for them to even explore other options because this is how it should be. This is how it should be. You know, so now we've talked about when people graduate, let's go get a job. There's no like you really find a lot of, maybe it's changing now, but you really find a lot of young people who would say, "Oh, I have this. Now I'm going to create something with what I've learned, regardless of the difficulties, obviously, but I'm going to create something with what I've learned." It's unfortunate. I don't know if it's the traditional institutions, if it's how it's structured, perhaps it's still reflective of the 19th and 20th century, perhaps. But it still stifles creativity, Father, in a lot of young people. And you see them trying to break out. But unfortunately, it's like a stronghold. They've been immersed in the system for so long. You're telling them, you can do this. You can be more creative. So my question for you, Father, is how can you, what can you say? Because we have a lot of young people who watch this channel. What can you say to the young people who are striving to be authentic? They want to be authentic. They want to explore different options. They want to be creative. But unfortunately, the systems they've been immersed in have unfortunately stifled that creativity. Like you said, Father, you talked about the importance of being flexible.
Be
Well, some
flexible.
persons, they come out there in a
Just-
particular system, like, no, that's not how we talk here. Oh. You have to talk like this. But the person is trying to spice it up, like you said, maintaining the old tradition, but trying to come up with something new and innovative.
Something new.
Father, I'm being very serious. I think this was 2 years ago. I don't think I shared this with you, Nostam. 2 years ago, I was in a particular system, Father, and a friend and I, we discovered that we could come up with a particular approach that would get more people to be part of the system we're involved in. So we're very hyped. We were like, let's go do this. We're very hyped up. And so the first day we used that particular strategy, we had about 10 people join that institution.
Wow.
About 10 people joined. We're madly excited. We're like, we're going to replicate this. We're going to replicate this, and we're going to have lots of people. Join the institution. That same day, we recorded 10 new people joining the institution. We had a pushback from the system. It was not even subtle, Father. It was very, very visceral.
Very violent.
Like, no, thank you very much. Yeah,
Strange.
no, this is strange. No, please, no. So, and you're trying to put forth results. Like, look at 10 people. Like you said, Father, the focus. Well, looking at the focus, it's not about whether it's this or that. This is the goal of the institution, to get people to join. We have 10 people joining now. So let's use this. It's working, but we had this massive pushback. And this is what lots of people see, Father.
Jeff, you're right. And even before Father even speak to our audience, I really want to even have his thoughts on that too.
Mm.
Father, how do you see when young people, especially young people, are still very stuck in this old traditional way of thinking and seeing life, and they're trying to break forth from it, but yet the system, like he said, and sometimes this system could be parents, or it could be
institutions,
whatever,
structures.
Structures. And what's your thought on that, Father, before you actually speak to our audience?
Okay, all right. For us Africans, we have traditions as a struggle for us. You could pick important transitions in people's life, like death, like marriages, and see the struggles we have with our traditions. Somebody is struggling to bury his mother or his father, and you go to the village, nothing is written down for generations to study. But they say it's tradition. And they list out something that for them is coherent, but there is no opening to see whether there are better ways of doing this. To accompany somebody that is rejoicing, if it is marriage, or somebody that is grieving. I think what is important is to know that in maintaining status quo and tradition, there are persons that are benefiting. So there is a selfish structure that has to be broken. There is a greedy person that sits on the tradition and does not allow it to become organic. A lot of things are changing, but some traditionalists just feel that the change is an erosion of values. I think it's very important when being creative to see how your creativity is in dialogue with the values.
I like that.
Of a particular community. If the value is to give our loved ones respect in terms of burial, what could be the best way of respecting them, yet not doing things that are not human? So it's good consistently to have dialogue between what are the values, because when you bring your creativity without sensitivity to the values, you may be promoting values first that are different from the value that a particular tradition wants to consolidate. So it's important to know what are the values that this particular traditional tree is consolidating. And understanding it, then you can see ways of liquidating the traditions and strengthening rooms for fresh air and for other interaction that are human but that communicate the same value. I mean, you could, our traditions are quite strong, and I'm from a church that is very traditional. The Catholic Church is a traditional church. It doesn't mean that there are no creativities. There are new ways of doing things, and there are various engagement on how these things should be done, but communicating values that have come 2,000 years ago. The values are maintained, but creativity should not appear arrogant, disrespectful of community values. So it's very important to understand, when some persons are holding on to their values traditionally over creativity, sometimes there are selfish interests, They just want to maintain the protocol and pretend they are not aware that the world is moving. I think there are some few words I mentioned. I might not be explaining, but just to throw them as points. I mentioned friendship, very important. I also mentioned being strategically organic. You are strategic, but you are not holding on to something for long. Just growth. I also talk of being aggressively creative. I mentioned the need for connections. That might also be friendship, but some kind of networking. Tapping from the gifts of different persons, and also continuous self-development. You don't say I have a PhD, I'll stop reading, or I've graduated and I'll stop studying. Keep building up yourself, and that will take you very far. So thank you so much.
Thank you. So Father, before we go, we have 5 quick fire questions here to ask you for our viewers so they get to know you more.
Okay.
And so Father, it goes like this: Brazil and the US. To go for a vacation, which of these 2 countries you like to visit?
I will go to the US.
Okay. Rice or pounded yam?
Pounded yam.
So, to be a parish administrator.
You just mentioned pounded yam. You didn't mention soup.
The soup. So what soup would you love, Father?
I want ogbolo.
Ogbolo. Wow, that would be nice.
Or okra, draw soup.
All right. To be a parish administrator or to be a school educator, that's a teacher. Which, to be a parish administrator, just be in the parish, or to be a school educator?
I think I would prefer the parish.
Okay, 2 more. For clothes, jean or native?
I'm native. I don't even have a single jean wear now.
Then lastly, for food, which would you likely just say, well, I will pass? Breakfast or lunch?
I will pass breakfast.
All right. Thank you so much, Father.
Thank you all for watching. I'm Jeffrey.
And I'm Nose Down.
And of course, we had Father Ujah join us today, and we're looking forward to hearing your results. Thank you very much for watching.
And also, Father will be in the comment section if you have anything to ask about, and we'll also pass to Father. Maybe once in a while, Father can just come there and just reply you as well. And thank you so much.
Keep watching.
Keep watching. Real Conversation.